Hey there, and welcome to Light Novel Sound, where I bring stories to life through voice. Today, we'll embark on a journey into the world of Astral Pet Store by Ancient She. And if you'd like to read along, you can find the original novel at lightnovelworld.co. So, what's not to love about transmigrating into a world full of pets? There are mighty creatures of all shapes and sizes, some cuddly, some fierce, and some, both. And I've even got my own pet store to run. Sounds great, right? Well, not exactly. My younger sister can't stand me. I've got zero talent for handling astral pets. And don't even get me started on the bizarre system I'm stuck with. But hey, it wouldn't be a proper transmigration without a few ridiculous challenges, right? Before we jump in, a huge thank you to Ancient She for creating this incredible story. And if you enjoy the audiobook, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps support the channel and keeps these stories alive in the YouTube world. Alright, let's dive into Astral Pet Store. Chapter 411, First Sign of Force Field. Within an instant, Su Ping had made it all the way to the 40th dragon bone. He gradually began to feel more difficulties as he went on. His body was finally being hurt, although mildly. The illusions had become too strong for his mind to handle and had inflicted actual harm on him. Su Ping kept going after taking a deep breath. One step at a time but forward. Yuan Linglu was transfixed. She still sat on the dragon bone, far behind. She had been like that since Su Ping made it to the 30th dragon bone. He had climbed twice as many dragon bones as she did. She was well aware that the higher they went, the heavier the burden would be. He was so further away from her that she began to wonder if they were taking the same test or not. 45, 48, 50. Soon, Su Ping was standing on the 50th dragon bone. The demonic figures had become more threatening and the entire world was bleeding. He was in a veritable hell. Anyone else would have lost it by that point. Su Ping saw some strange and freaky monsters that were like vipers entangling him. The touch was cold and sleek. Break! Su Ping squinted his eyes from which a glint of killing intent arose. All the monsters and demonic figures were crushed. His killing intent had crushed them all, like a sharp blade. Su Ping moved on with determination. 52. 55. 60. Kill them! The killing intent in his eyes became more profound. 65. 69. Destroy them! Even Su Ping's face was twisted. He unleashed all the killing intent he had buried in his heart, as well as all the negativity, the desperation, the cruelty, the violence. He was so violent that he had become a monster. Frightened by this vicious burst, the monsters and demons around him withdrew and vanished into thin air. Su Ping soldiered on. Soon after, he made it to the 80th dragon bone. Buzzing! Su Ping almost fell to the ground. Then, he felt that a twisted thing was crawling out from under his feet, right from the piles of internal organs. Su Ping gazed at that thing coldly. That twisted creature stopped and then disappeared. Su Ping looked ahead and went on. 82. 85. More horrifying illusions assaulted him. Scram! Su Ping shouted. His voice scared away some of the terrifying illusions, but as he continued, those illusions once again inched closer to where he was. The cold touch felt as substantial as it could get. Su Ping kept going, paying no regard to those sensations. He had made it to the 90th dragon bone. There, he heard a threatening call approaching him. Out of instinct, Su Ping stepped to the side, but that thing had managed to touch his neck nonetheless. Pain! He put his hand on his neck. There was blood. Once again, the illusions were inflicting substantial harm to him. Su Ping had been trying his best, and yet, no matter how determined he was no longer able to fend the illusions off. Am I at my limit? Su Ping took a pause and breathed in. A beam of crimson glow was revealed in his eyes. This time, the killing intent was not visible in his eyes. Taking its place was pure coldness. Whoosh! Behind him, a pitch-dark field emerged out of nowhere. In this field, Many hideous and evil shadows rushed out from the inside. If you saw the deepest part of the field, you could make out mountains of dead bodies, an ocean of blood, and countless strange bones everywhere. That was an area from the chaotic realm of the undead. But that area was reflected in the field behind Su Ping. Yuan Linglu's sensations had become numb while she remained on the 17th dragon bone. Her mood transitioned from astonishment to confusion to calmness as she witnessed how Su Ping climbed to the 90th dragon bone. Still, once the dark field appeared behind him, she recovered her ability to show expressions. Her pupils were contracted by the shock. Force field. She could not help but blurt out the two words. She had never been in so much shock before. This young man had just learned the use of force fields. He was able to manifest a force field. That was beyond comprehension. Yuan Linglu had heard from her grandpa that sometimes not even legendary battle pet warriors were able to understand the force field principles. Only the more powerful legendary battle pet warriors, like her grandpa, could have learned it. But this young man, who was at the 6th rank just like her, had learned how to use force fields. Yuan Linglu's astonishment was mixed with bewilderment. No words could describe what she was feeling. Behind an able man, there are always other able men. She had always thought that she was among the other able men. It turned out that she was the former. Those in my way shall die. Su Ping looked down on the world with a cold gaze. Be it hell or the netherworld, I shall be the ruler. At this moment, Su Ping felt he had become free from inhibitions. He could finally unleash all the violence and anger he had been harboring and concealing. He felt he was in a comfortable environment. A feeling akin to what people would perceive when soaking in a hot spring. But he was soaking in a killing hot spring. He could release all his energy at will while he was there. As he got all the violence off his chest, Su Ping saw how many monsters and demonic figures that had been scared before were at the moment coming back to him ready to fight. Su Ping suddenly remembered an ancient mountain of skeletons he had seen in the chaotic realm of the undead. The mountain had been made with skeletons of creatures that had once been above the legendary rank. Kill them! Behind him, many huge skeletons appeared out of nowhere and they roared to frighten away the illusions. Whoosh! Su Ping was still going. Around him were the monsters, the demons, and the skeletons. He was the king of hell walking in the mortal world. No more illusions emerged from the dragon bones. Su Ping enjoyed a smooth ride to the 100th dragon bone. The demonic figures re-emerged after he climbed the next 5 dragon bones. 2 more dragon bones. The demonic figures had become real and tangible. Not even the skeletons coming out from the dark field behind Su Ping were able to stop the illusions. Phew! Su Ping came to a sudden stop. The craziness and wildness in the depth of his eyes gradually receded. This is about it. Su Ping stopped there. He could tell that he could climb up several more dragon bones by exerting his full strength, but that wasn't necessary. He could roughly determine where his limit was. He turned around and saw the girl sitting on a dragon bone in the distance. That gap was enough to secure his win. Su Ping breathed in relief. Then, he noticed that he could see some views of the chaotic realm of the undead in the dark field behind him. He was surprised. He had sensed the presence of such a scenery while he was climbing, but he wasn't in the mood to observe back then. As he then had time to check carefully, he realized that the views inside the dark field were closely linked to his mind. He tried to focus his mind on some other views he had seen. The scene in the dark field changed accordingly. When he thought of an ages-worn bronze temple he had once seen, the temple appeared in the dark field as well. The temple recreation in the dark field was also ancient, seemingly able to seal off space and time. What skill is this? Su Ping could tell that the views inside the dark field could emit some energy, which, while not as powerful as the authentic energy in the chaotic realm of the undead, was still threatening. Su Ping studied this for a while. All of a sudden, he felt tired and drowsy. Alerted, Su Ping noticed that the dark field was fading away, taking away the scenes and views inside as well. He frowned and thought for a while. He supposed that the dark field was also linked to his willpower, something like a manifestation of his consciousness. He would have to ask Joanna about the details. She had to be well enough informed about the subject. While Su Ping was absorbed in his thoughts, a beam of golden light appeared next to the dragon skeleton. The Dragon King's soul emerged. It was sizing Su Ping up and down with curiosity and solemnly. Su Ping asked the Dragon King's soul, "Have we passed the test?" The Dragon King's soul gazed at him and nodded. "Yes. Thou art the winner this time." Su Ping nodded. In the distance, Yuan Linglu finally came back to her senses. She was filled with complicated feelings, but she was not going to admit defeat yet. This time, Su Ping did beat her, and by a large margin. However, they still had to go through their physical strength test. That was her last chance. This time, the Dragon King's soul didn't even cast a single glance at Yuan Linglu. The Dragon King's soul gazed at Su Ping fondly and said, "Thy willpower is strong, almost equal to the peak of the legendary rank, and even better. I hope thy strength is well matched to thy will." Su Ping was surprised. Equal to the peak of the legendary rank? He was aware that his willpower was stronger than that of other battle pet warriors at the same rank, but he didn't have the slightest notion about how much stronger it was. It never occurred to him that his willpower could be that much better. The legendary rank had a wide range. His willpower could compare to one at the peak of the legendary rank right then? He hadn't even reached the titled rank yet. But that wasn't hard to understand given the many times that he had died in the cultivation sites. Having gone through the endless interactions of life and death, his willpower had been progressing by leaps and bounds. However, the willpower strengthening effect with repeated deaths would be diminished from then on. That was to say, it would be hard for him to enhance his willpower by a large margin in the future. He would have to think of another way. "I suppose there aren't many others like me, right?" Su Ping asked the Dragon King's soul. The Dragon King's soul nodded. If it weren't for the fact that it saw Su Ping with its own eyes, even the Dragon King's soul would have had doubts. The Dragon King's soul had remained hidden elsewhere during the test. It had been stunned by the results. But the Dragon King's soul had managed to calm down since then, hiding the joy it felt. After all, the Dragon King was above the legendary rank. It had to act like one. If so, then why don't you just give your legacy directly to me? We don't need other tests. Su Ping grinned. Yuan Linglu was taken aback. She became incensed by his request. How shameless of him. She bit her teeth. She could not wait to defeat him. The Dragon King's soul was surprised to hear Su Ping uttering those words. The Dragon King's soul cast a glance at Yuan Linglu in the distance and replied, "Thou art marvelous, but rules are rules. Thou needn't worry. I will still choose thou even if thou lose to her in physical strength, provided that the gap is small." "Sure," Su Ping said. Yuan Linglu was relieved to hear that the Dragon King's soul didn't change its mind because of Su Ping's request. She was both grateful and stressed for it at the same time. She was falling behind Su Ping by a large margin in the first test. That was to say, she had to defeat Su Ping completely in the physical strength test to get a chance. "I must resort to my strongest skills, even the taboo skill," Yuan Linglu said to herself. She took a deep breath and a glint of coldness rose in her eyes. "Next is the physical strength test. Thou can use everything, including your battle pets. The victor will be deemed qualified," announced the Dragon King's soul, and its voice was just as calm and majestic as before. With that said, the dragon skeleton disappeared and a vast land with swamps, plants and everything emerged. Su Ping and Yuan Linglu landed on that territory. "Me versus you." Su Ping raised his eyebrows. It never occurred to Yuan Linglu that the physical strength test was to fight against Su Ping. Good, she thought. If she could kill Su Ping in the fight, then nothing else would matter. The Dragon King's soul would have to choose her even if it didn't want to. "Get ready," said the Dragon King's soul. Su Ping summoned the little skeleton. Yuan Linglu got her battle pets out. A dragon, a pet of the demon family, one of the element family, and a battle pet that Su Ping had never seen before. It had yet to be included in the illustration of battle pets. That was a human-shaped battle pet with a height of about 5 meters and with 6 wings. The battle pet was completely dark-colored, similar to a fallen angel, another battle pet of the demon family. But fallen angels merely had 4 wings. Besides, there were 2 rows of crimson eyebrows that were glaring on the chest of this battle pet. "Go," said the Dragon King's soul. Su Ping sized Yuan Linglu's battle pets up and down. He had to admit that her battle pets were all the best of the best. The dragon was a starburst dragon, which ranked number 2 among all dragons and was even rarer than the Inferno dragon. A starburst dragon at its prime was said to be able to defend against the average beast kings. But this starburst dragon was still growing. Even so, it surely had a strength equal to the titled rank already. Su Ping could tell that Yuan Linglu had been training her battle pets well. The one that worried him the most was the human-shaped battle pet. That battle pet had to be a mutated kind, or one that couldn't be found on the blue planet. Su Ping was not in the mood to prolong the fight. He said to the little skeleton, "Finish them all." The little skeleton looked up at him and nodded as a reply. Chapter 4:12, Easy Win. 2 Recipients. Finish them. The little skeleton drew its blade, doing so without reservation. Whoosh! The little skeleton vanished on the spot. When the little skeleton reappeared, it had penetrated the heavy defense mounted by her battle pets and was above Yuan Linglu's head. Slay! As the little skeleton waved its blade downward, intense flames surged from its edge. Yuan Linglu was unable to grasp what had just happened. Fear spread across her face. She stared at the blade, getting closer and closer. The second the blade was about to land on her, as if stimulated by something, she cried out and moved backward, carried by many electric arcs. Bang! The blade missed its target. But the airstream from the blade turned into a dark dragon that was still going after her. At the same time, the little skeleton had teleported again and appeared in front of Yuan Linglu. Same as before, the little skeleton waved its blade while aiming for her neck. Yuan Linglu was terrified. Electric arcs were bouncing around her. Bang! The little skeleton wielded its blade. Yuan Linglu's neck was cut. However, the next second, the figure that was Yuan Linglu was burst open, and many beams of electric light were flashing toward the little skeleton. An illusion. One that could detonate automatically. The blast didn't hurt the little skeleton in the slightest. The crimson glow in its eye sockets flickered for a bit. All of a sudden, the little skeleton dashed toward the left. There, Yuan Linglu had just appeared when she saw the blade approaching her. Fear filled her eyes. The skeleton was too fast and fierce. She couldn't find a chance to catch her breath. Roar! While the blade was about to land on Yuan Linglu, a dragon began to roar. Yuan Linglu's starburst dragon had finally come back to its senses and roared with enough strength to wake up the dead. The dragon's might was displayed. As the dragon bellowed, it tried to overwhelm the skeleton. Still, it was as if the little skeleton could feel nothing. It was still wielding its blade, completely unaffected. No! Yuan Linglu was unable to believe this. Bang! Suddenly, a beam of golden glow appeared and stopped the blade. There were some ripples on the beam. Yuan Linglu had been keeping her eyes open. She was dazed as she stared at the beam of golden light that had emerged out of nowhere. After countless rounds of training, she had adjusted to rely on some basic instincts. For example, at critical moments, even when she was faced with death, she would not close her eyes because of fear. She would always keep her eyes open. As such, she was able to see what had just happened in that fatal moment. The beam of golden light. It didn't seem to come from her battle pets. Whoosh! Right then, the Dragon King's soul that was observing on the side flew over and stood in front of the little skeleton. The Dragon King's soul darted a meaningful look at the little skeleton with its golden eyes. "Thou hast won," the Dragon King's soul said to Su Ping. Su Ping was surprised that the Dragon King's soul would come out and save the girl. He had planned to kill her directly. Fine. Since the Dragon King's soul had stopped him, Su Ping gave up and told the little skeleton to return. The little skeleton calmed down and the crimson glow from its eye sockets faded away. The little skeleton cast a glance at the Dragon King's soul before returning to Su Ping. Su Ping patted the head of the little skeleton as it looked up at him. He wasn't surprised that the battle had ended so quickly. After all, the little skeleton's combat strength had reached a staggering 16. When the little skeleton was serious, the battle pets that were below the legendary rank would have no chance to rise to the situation and put their guards up. The little skeleton, when exerting full strength, was even able to instantly kill a beast that had just reached the legendary rank. That was why Su Ping proposed to the Dragon King's soul to give him the legacy directly. For him, he could already anticipate the result of the test. The selection process was purely a waste of time for him. The Dragon King's soul stared at Su Ping for a bit, wondering if it should be scared of him or glad. If it was right, the Dragon King's soul believed it had picked up a sense of the Skeleton King from that small skeleton. The Skeleton King. It was a well-matching creature to the Dragon King when the latter was still alive. That was to say, when this skeleton grew up and reached the prime of its state, the skeleton could compare to the Dragon King. Since the skeleton was the inheritor's battle pet, in a manner of speaking, the Dragon King's legacy would surely be passed on. While the Dragon King was deep in its thoughts, behind it, Yuan Linglu had come back to her senses. She gazed at the young man and the skeleton in a daze. One battle pet and she had been defeated. She didn't even have a chance to try any forbidden skills. Her battle pets couldn't react fast enough. She wasn't given the time to use any of the top-level skills or some special combination of moves. She had lost. The defeat came so quickly that she was deprived of all chances to show her advantages. She would have died already if it weren't for the fact that she used some physical skills. It had been a while since Yuan Linglu had experienced such a fight. When she was a kid, her grandpa would deliberately arrange battles between her and titled battle pet warriors. Back then, she would feel the overwhelming pressure. However, she had gradually become able to deal with such battles with grace when she turned 16. As she became more and more proficient in using physical skills, she could even come up with several ways to defeat those that had just reached the titled rank. She believed that it would be rare for anyone among her peers to be able to compete with her. That had been a fact all along. She went to the best academy in the subcontinent district. She had gotten brilliant scores and demonstrated outstanding strengths. She was able to defeat those at a higher rank than she was, and she graduated in 1 year. Even in that academy where talents were many, she was one of the most glaring stars. She had left a legend behind. But in this place, she was crushed by the young man whose name she didn't even know. Such a disastrous defeat. She lost. Yuan Linglu felt she could hardly breathe, and that feeling was growing stronger and stronger. Despair and frustration overwhelmed her. She could no longer control herself. Since she was 10 years old, her grandpa had been making plans and preparations for her in the mysterious realm. This day, finally, she could receive the legacy, but that honor had been snatched away from her by someone else and she couldn't even fight back. She had lost in both tests. She was losing her mind as she thought of everything her grandpa had done for her. Losing the legacy would mean that it was all that harder for her to get into that place. "Why did you stop me from killing her?" Su Ping asked the Dragon King's soul curiously. His words pulled Yuan Linglu back to reality from her disappointment over being disqualified. She shuddered in fear as she gazed at the young man who was like a monster. He asked the question in such a casual tone, as if he was simply asking about dinner. He sounded so calm. Has he become that used to killing? Yuan Linglu couldn't help but look at the Dragon King's soul that was standing in front of her, nervously. According to the rules, she was no longer qualified. The Dragon King's soul was on the young man's side, and as such, she was in a perilous position. "Thou hast passed the tests and can receive my legitimate legacy. She has passed the test at the Dragon Skeleton, and I have a secondary legacy to give to her," the Dragon King's soul stated. Su Ping was struck by disbelief. She can get something even after losing? Yuan Linglu was also surprised. She instantly felt relieved. It meant that she was still under the protection of the Dragon King's soul. Su Ping would be unable to hurt her. Secondary, the Dragon King's soul explained, consider it a gift from me to her. Sir, think it through. She is my competitor, and if I don't kill her now, she will set up some sinister traps for me when we get out because she will hold a grudge. I am your legitimate inheritor. Aren't you afraid that I could die in her hands? The Dragon King's soul didn't seem surprised by Su Ping's question. That is why there are two pieces of legacy. On the off chance of thy demise, my legacy shall live on. As for retaliation, thou shan't worry. When thou hast my legacy, thou will be much stronger and she won't have any chance to go after thee. Su Ping was speechless. What kind of reasoning was that? Had the Dragon King's soul become weak-minded after staying there for hundreds of thousands of years? Sure, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But you also shouldn't let the eggs break each other. Besides, Su Ping was the legitimate one. The Dragon King's soul was making trouble for him. Considering the level of your intelligence, your death shall not be regretted. Su Ping was completely speechless. Yuan Linglu was relieved, but at the same time, she was jealous because of what the Dragon King's soul said. He would be better than her after getting the legacy? How she wished that everything was hers. Damn it! She bit her teeth. Soon, she hid her killing intent and hatred in case the Dragon King's soul would notice. That is to say, if 5 people received the marks, then the one legitimate inheritor would have to guard against the other 4 competitors, right? Su Ping tried to reason with the Dragon King's soul again to correct this foolish mindset. The Dragon King's soul replied, I only prepared 2. The other 3 would have been eliminated. Su Ping, interesting. You're telling me that you were thoughtful, right? Be prepared. I shall take thee to the location, the Dragon King's soul said. Su Ping heaved a sigh. It seemed that he could never win an argument with the Dragon King's soul. He took a good look at the girl to remember her appearance. He would have to find a chance himself to eliminate this enemy when they got out. What's your name? Su Ping asked. Yuan Linglu could tell Su Ping's intention. None of your fking business. She snorted. You're taking advantage of the dragon's power to bully me, right? You'd better wish you never run into me, Su Ping cautioned her. Yuan Linglu rolled her eyes and said nothing in reply, but she was inwardly nervous. Even without the legacy, the guy was already horrifying. What would he become when he received legacy? While she was thinking, a beam of golden light burst out of the Dragon King's soul and took Su Ping away. Yuan Linglu was the only one standing on the boundless land. Not long afterward, the Dragon King's soul re-emerged, only this time, the soul was much weaker than before. Come with me, the Dragon King's soul said slowly. With that said, the beam of golden light enveloped Yuan Linglu and she vanished on the spot. Chapter 413, 3 States of the Legendary Rank. When Su Ping opened his eyes again, a gold-colored world leaped into view. It was boundless, and the golden color was extended into the horizon. This is the world of origin in my soul. The Dragon King's soul appeared by Su Ping, coiling in the air. The dragon waved its tail. A vast, golden lake emerged in front of them, a lake that was emitting a mighty aura. Thou hast passed the test and can inherit my legitimate legacy. First come the treasures that once belonged to me, the Dragon King. Those are the treasures that I had collected in my entire life. Before my death, many top-level treasures were destroyed during fights. That being said, the rest of them are enough to protect you as you develop. As the Dragon King's soul's voice faded away, many shadows darted out from the lake. The treasures were moving closer. There were many types, such as spears, swords, umbrellas, ropes, and chains. And an ancient chariot. Other things included a lamp, a scroll, and even a chessboard. In an instant, tens of thousands of treasures had flown out from the lake and hovered in the air. Su Ping looked in astonishment. That was a lot. People would always say that dragons were hoarders. They truly deserved the reputation they enjoyed. Are all of them for me? Su Ping couldn't help but ask in excitement. However, as he thought of the other girl, his mood turned lousy again. This was how humans were. He had already gained a lot, but to think that others would take a share, even a slight portion, he would still be upset. The secondary legacy you mentioned, does it include treasures as well? Su Ping asked again. If that girl would get some treasures, even if there were only a few hundreds of pieces, he would still be distressed. The Dragon King's soul shook its head. There are merely 3 defensive items for her so that she can survive if she has to fight against someone at the ocean state. She is just a kindle of hope that I want to preserve. Thou shan't worry. Su Ping breathed in relief. 3 was a number he could live with. What do you mean by the ocean state? Su Ping was curious. He knew next to nothing about the legendary rank. He could take this chance to ask the Dragon King's soul. The legendary rank is the name used by humans. There are 3 states in the legendary rank. First, the ocean state, the void state comes in second, and third, the fate state. Those at the ocean state, after being refined by the heavens test, possess purer astral powers. Their strength is 100 times stronger than the average titled battle pet warriors and 10 times stronger than those at the peak of the titled rank. At the void state, they can influence space and teleport. As for those at the fate state, they will enjoy a long life, as much as 1,000 years, and will have a better understanding of space. They can teleport across long distances and they can visualize their consciousness to form a force field that can overpower others. With that ability, the legendary battle pet warriors at the fate state can kill those at the void state. The Dragon King's soul is explained in detail. Su Ping committed that information to memory. Finally, he had a clearer idea about the legendary rank. What is a force field? Force field is the one thou generated when going through the willpower test. When a consciousness is pure, the force field will be pure and can cleanse evil and fiends. When one's consciousness is violent, the force field will be cruel and full of killing intent. Usually, the titled battle pet warriors would be so fearful of it that they would lose all ability to fight whenever they saw a force field, which can be compared to a deterrent skill. I see. The explanation cleared up some of Su Ping's doubts. It seemed that from then on, he would be able to defeat average titled battle pet warriors with the force field alone. The force field deserved to be a skill unique to those at the fate state. The skill was formidable. The Dragon King's soul darted a look at Su Ping. It didn't point out that the visualization of Su Ping's force field was terrifying. It was an indication of the horrors in his heart and his experience. That young man was a demon in human's clothing. If it weren't for the fact that this demon was its inheritor, the Dragon King's soul would never leave him on the world. He was too dangerous. Of the treasures, some are quite powerful, but they have certain requirements for the user as well. The user can be harmed by those treasures before reaching the necessary state. The Dragon King's soul cautioned Su Ping, to prevent thee from relying heavily on the treasures and inflicting self-harm upon thyself, I have put them into 3 categories. The first categories are fit for the ocean state. When you reach the titled rank, you can use them. The second category is a match to the void state. You can use them when you reach the ocean state. The third category includes all the other treasures which you can use when you reach the void state. The Dragon King's soul continued, of all of them, there are 2 that are the best of the best. You can use them now and they will keep you safe. Whoosh! Whoosh! As the Dragon King's soul went on, 2 beams of light shone on Su Ping from the tens of thousands of treasures hovering in the air. One of the 2 treasures was a horn and the other was a drop of water in a dark green color. The horn was more than 2 meters long and seemed to be from some beast. The drop of dark green water, which was spinning, was the size of a fist. Those 2 are mildly damaged, but I have mostly repaired them. They can still be used. With a sad tone, the Dragon King's soul added, this horn belonged to a dragon. The horn can deter others, especially other dragons. Also, the horn can amplify attacks involving sound waves and increase sound wave attacks below the star rank by 10 times. Su Ping sized up the horn that was dark red in color. The horn was covered in dark red lines. It seemed as if it had been soaking in blood. He could even pick up some smell of blood from the horn. Sir, the star rank you mentioned, Is it above the fate state of the legendary rank? That is correct. What are the details of the star rank? That is too far away from thy state, and knowing about the details won't be of any use. It will be revealed by the time the fate state is reached, the Dragon King's soul answered. Su Ping didn't press further because he also thought the same. This is ink armor, the Dragon King's soul said about the drop of dark green water. This is a defensive item that can fend off a strike by an enemy at the fate state. However, due to the damage, the armor is not as able to fend off spiritual attacks above the void state. Thou'th to be cautious. Su Ping was astonished. Then, as if inspired by the Dragon King's soul, the drop of dark green water flew to Su Ping's hand and then seeped into his entire body like a flow of water. Just like the time he acquired the water barrier, Su Ping felt how his body was covered by a membrane that was quite light. He saw the dark green membrane gradually disappear into his pores and hide inside him. When in danger, the armor will know and come out to offer protection. The Dragon King's soul cautioned Su Ping, the ink armor can protect thee, so that not even the average legendary rank battle pet warriors can inflict harm. However, that is all it can do. A legendary rank battle pet warrior can imprison you or use other treasures and skills to kill you. The ink armor is not invincible. Thou shalt be careful. Su Ping nodded. Having gone to many worlds, he had become aware of certain skills that could take away your soul directly. The usual treasures could hardly guard against that. But such items were pretty rare on the blue planet. All in all, the ink armor was pretty good. It would give Su Ping time to react if legendary rank battle pet warriors tried to sneak up on him. After all, when legendary battle pet warriors tried to attack a person like him, they wouldn't think of using special techniques at the very beginning. Su Ping wondered if there were other items like the ink armor on the blue planet, if at all. The treasures are just a part of my legacy. Here is the second part. The Dragon King's soul eyed Su Ping solemnly. I will bestow upon thee my original dragon power, my bloodline, the secret of my soul and my everything. My everything. I will pass everything I have to thee with my original source. Thy bloodline will be refined and thou wilt develop a dragon body, the dragon bulwark. In the human world, the dragon bulwark is one of the most powerful bulwark skills. Su Ping listened with great interest. Dragon bulwark. Sounds nice. But before I do that, thou is to listen to my will. In your remaining years, thou shalt send my soul back to the world of dragons, the Dragon King's soul said. Your soul? Su Ping was confused. Then, the golden lake suddenly began to boil. The center part caved in and from the swirl rose a coffin. My physical body collapsed, but I was able to extract my soul. However, my soul is also about to decay. When I pass my power unto thee, my soul will fall into a deep slumber, seen as death in human terms. The Dragon King's soul said slowly, I hope that upon death, I can return to the world of dragons and rest in peace there. Canst thou promise me that? The explanation cleared up Su Ping's confusion. So, the Dragon King wanted to return home with honor, even though it would be after death. Sure. I got it. I'll try my best to help you. The Dragon King's soul gazed at Su Ping for a moment when a beam of golden light rose in front of them. The Dragon King's soul explained, This is the Dragon Soul's contract. Art thou ready to enter into a contract? Once established, thou wilt be punished by the contract and thy soul wilt be shattered if the promise is broken. Su Ping frowned. I can only promise that I will try my best to send your soul back to the world of dragons when conditions permit it. Good enough. The Dragon King's soul nodded. It was happy. The beam of golden light shone radiantly and then suddenly shrank down and flew into Su Ping's chest. The contract has been set. Summon all thine battle pets now and clean up thy consciousness. Be ready for my legacy. Su Ping touched his chest but felt nothing. Why do I have to summon my battle pets? He asked curiously. To pass on my legacy, I will have to connect with thy soul. If there are other living creatures in thy consciousness, it will distract my legacy and lead to accidents. the Dragon King's soul stated. At the same time, the golden glare around it became even stronger. In the meanwhile, the golden lake began to ripple again as a strong aura was emitted. Su Ping had to get all of his battle pets out. His battle pets began to look around curiously when they emerged. They were interested in the Dragon King's soul, not showing any fear. Begin! The Dragon King's soul shouted in a low voice. In the meanwhile, the golden lake began to tumble around until the water formed the shape of a dragon. The water dragon, as well as the Dragon King's soul, dashed toward Su Ping and enveloped him. Su Ping felt a surge of power entering him. He witnessed a view unfold on a magnificent scale in front of him. He saw many towering dragons flying around. Those dragons weren't like the winged dragons, such as the Inferno dragon. Rather, they were actual wingless dragons. The many real dragons were battling against the strange beasts and monsters in that ancient world. I'm a real dragon and I lived a long life. I fought many battles in my life. The Dragon King's soul narrated its story in a hoarse voice. Su Ping could even hear the passage of time in the voice. Su Ping was lost in the voice. However, all of a sudden, the voice became shrill and full of fear. What? What is this thing inside thee? This supernatural feeling. Su Ping was pulled back to reality by the shrill cry. He was baffled. What? Suddenly, he remembered the solar bulwark. Please no. Bad things wouldn't happen to him, would they? The next second, the magnificent view disappeared in front of him. He was seeing the golden world again. The Dragon King's soul was half melted like a candle and fear was visible on its face. Chapter 4:14, Conflict of Bloodlines. Sir. Su Ping was baffled. The look of the Dragon King's soul scared him. Something must have gone wrong. Thou ist an ancient bloodline. The Dragon King's soul trembled. The majesty in its voice disappeared and fear had overwhelmed it. The more powerful the creatures were, the greater their fear toward the ancient bloodline would be. The supernatural beings from distant ancient times should have been extinct. How could one of those bloodlines be handed down to reach the current age? The Dragon King's soul was unable to believe this. The bloodline was weak, but that wisp of energy was enough to make it shudder in fear. If it weren't for the fact that the Dragon King's soul had withdrawn in time, its soul and consciousness would have been swallowed. Cry! While both Su Ping and the Dragon King's soul were standing in a daze, from Su Ping's internal organs came an almost inaudible cry that seemed to come from another time and age. The cry was instilling fear and dread. Phew! Su Ping felt flames were bursting out of him. The golden flames had torched the air. The world constructed by the Dragon King's soul was gradually caving in and breaking up because of the burning. Behind Su Ping, right in a blind spot, the flames turned into a golden crow that was looking down on the Dragon King's soul and everything else. The golden crow was a vicious beast from ancient times. A glint of killing intent was visible in the golden crow's eyes. The Dragon King's soul trembled and its half-melted body was collapsing even further. All of a sudden, the Dragon King's soul bellowed and dashed to the side. Whoosh! The Dragon King's soul wormed its way to the dark dragon hound that was standing close to Su Ping. The dark dragon hound was crouching by Su Ping's feet, looking at him fawningly, when the Dragon King's soul pierced into its body. The next second, the dark dragon hound's eyes turned golden in color and its hair was dancing in the air. The dark dragon hound was bathed in a beam of holy and golden light. Su Ping was stunned. What is going on? As the Dragon King's soul entered the dark dragon hound, the water from the golden lake was dragged into the dark dragon hound as well. In an instant, the huge body of water was gone. The dark dragon hound was still bathing in the beam of golden light that was shining brightly. Soon, the beam of golden light turned into a golden cocoon. Su Ping could even see some silk threads on the cocoon. The huge cocoon was dozens of meters long, which looked more like an oval egg. This was beyond comprehension. Where was the legacy? So, the dog got it. Su Ping stood staring at the huge golden cocoon for a long time, transfixed. At the same time, He noticed that his body temperature was dropping quickly and the burning sensation on his back faded away as the shrill and violent cry died down. Indeed, it was because of the solar bulwark. Su Ping curled his lips. Just then, he could clearly notice the change in his body. Besides, the golden flames covering him were an evident indication that the solar bulwark was the reason for the sudden twist. The solar bulwark was a skill which belonged to the Golden Crow race. Since Su Ping had reached the first level, he had managed to generate a wisp of the Golden Crow's bloodline. But it never occurred to him that the bloodline would react so violently when he was about to receive the legacy. The energy that belonged to the Golden Crows inside him was stimulated, and the outburst of energy had freaked out the Dragon King's soul, so much so that the Dragon King's soul darted to where the Dark Dragon Hound was. How ridiculous! Su Ping was having mixed feelings of grief and joy. While Su Ping was smiling a bitter smile, he suddenly heard the Dragon King's soul speaking to him from the golden cocoon. Why not tell me thou were a descendant of the ancient supernatural beings? The Dragon King's soul sounded tired and pained. Su Ping was speechless. How could I tell you when you didn't ask me? Besides, I've always felt that I am a human being. So, sir, did you pass your legacy to my battle pet? Su Ping asked, gingerly. He had to confirm. Hearing this question, the Dragon King's soul suddenly let out a sorrowful scream. That voice penetrated the golden cocoon and was loud enough to shake the world. The scream was deafening. Su Ping covered his ears at once. Because of you. After the roar, the Dragon King's soul was speaking in a more lifeless and frustrated tone. Su Ping interrupted the Dragon King's soul. Sir, I didn't mean to harm you. You can take your legacy back if you cannot pass it to me. Why did you have to? Those words seemed to anger the Dragon King's soul even more. After 2 more roars, the Dragon King's soul fell into silence. The Su Ping called the Dragon King's soul several more times. Nothing. He wondered if the Dragon King's soul was gone after the legacy was passed on. When he began to feel bored after waiting for a while, he heard the Dragon King again. Once the bestowal process begins, the world of my origin will start burning. If I hadn't carried on with the process, the world of origin would have burned until nothing remained. Why else, dost thou think I would choose a dog? That explained it. But it seemed that the Dragon King's soul was insulting his battle pet. Since the Dragon King's soul was in such misery, Su Ping decided to stop badgering it about this. Sir, so, what is happening now? You have passed your legacy to my battle pet. Will my battle pet's power increase suddenly? Does it mean that I might not be able to control it? If the Dark Dragon Hound had reached the 9th rank because of the legacy, then for Su Ping, despite his strong spirit, controlling the Dark Dragon Hound would be hard. The Dark Dragon Hound could easily get out of control. Again, the Dragon King's soul answered with silence. There was no such thing as complete empathy. The Dragon King's soul wallowed in utter despair, but this inheritor was still heartless. He was still thinking about himself. What he asked was not the point. All right. The Dragon King's soul had been waiting there for hundreds of thousands of years. It set up the tower just to find a qualified inheritor. However, in the end, everything was conferred to the dog. That was the result of waiting for hundreds of thousands of years. Compared to this tragedy, Su Ping's worry was not worth mentioning. If it weren't for the fact that the Dragon King's soul was tough and at the same time, had spent much energy while handing over the legacy, it would have gone ballistic. The good thing is that there's still hope. That was the only thing that the Dragon King's soul felt glad about. It was always better not to put all the eggs in one basket. That was its experience after fighting countless fights. Having received no answer, Su Ping called it, Sir? The Dragon King's soul replied with silence. It was not in the mood to talk. Su Ping called the Dragon King's soul several more times. Still, no reply. Su Ping heaved a sigh. Sir, this isn't fair. I didn't get this legacy, but I still have to keep my promise of sending your soul back to the world of dragons. Don't you think I'm in a ton of trouble? Su Ping kept on talking regardless. The Dragon King's soul. If it could go back in time to the point when it was about to choose inheritors, the Dragon King's soul swore that it wouldn't conduct any tests, it would have disregarded everything and simply chosen the other girl directly. As for this guy, end him. Chapter 4:15, Methodology from Time Immemorial. No matter how furious it was, the Dragon King's soul never said another word, too depressed to talk. Time moved on quietly. Since he was receiving no replies, Su Ping began to look around. That world was vast and boundless. The parts that caved in because of the Golden Crow's flames were being repaired by the Dragon King's origin force as the flames disappeared. Bored, Su Ping sat down next to the golden cocoon. From the bond of the contract, Su Ping tried to understand what the Dark Dragon Hound was feeling right then. The Dark Dragon Hound was in a complicated mood. At first, the Dark Dragon Hound was afraid. Later, it began to feel comfortable and it actually enjoyed the process. But right then, the Dark Dragon Hound's consciousness was silent as if it was soundly asleep. Su Ping didn't try to wake up the Dark Dragon Hound in case the legacy's transfer would fail. He was sorry that the legacy was not his, but he was somewhat relieved from his disappointment after thinking that the dog was his battle pet. The little skeleton and the Inferno Dragon were both standing around the golden cocoon, observing carefully. The Inferno Dragon tried to scratch the golden cocoon with its paws, but Su Ping stopped it. The Inferno Dragon then began to sniff the golden cocoon with its nose, which was much like what the Dark Dragon Hound would do. Su Ping curled his lips. Since he was bored, Su Ping began to study the two treasures that the Dragon King's soul had given him. He fiddled with them and noticed that the old Dragon King had told him only about their basic effects. He would have to try them to find out about the details. Trying the dragon horn there would be ill-considered. Su Ping decided to try it when he went to the cultivation site. Utterly unoccupied, Su Ping thought he might just as well cultivate. Phew! He sat down with his legs crossed and mobilized the chaos star chart inside him. As soon as he started, Su Ping noticed that the surroundings contained profound and pure energy. If he were to compare cultivating in the world outside as a regular dinner, cultivating there could be considered a feast. What a nice feeling. Su Ping could tell that the astral powers were moving faster and faster inside the cores of his cells. The vortices were spinning at full speed and due to the strong pull, the energy from the environment was quickly surging into him. Su Ping lost himself to cultivation. What was that? Inside the golden cocoon, the Dragon King's soul was focusing on delivering the legacy. The noise outside disturbed the Dragon King's soul. As the Dragon King's soul checked, the surprise almost made the delivery go off track. Star chart. This is a method from time immemorial. The Dragon King's soul was stunned speechless. How much time had passed for it to be known as time immemorial? No one knew. No one could remember how many eras had passed during this long time. Born in the 9th solar year of the new holy calendar, the Dragon King's soul was aware that supernatural beings were active in the universe in ancient times. Besides, there were other powerful creatures. The wise ones among those creatures would learn from the patterns seen from the movements of the stars and had thus created many star chart methods that had a long-lasting effect. But as the immemorial era reached an end, those methods had also disappeared. Later on, there was an occasional appearance of those methods. However, the fights and wars had either destroyed the methods or made them vanish. In the era that the Dragon King was alive, even the names of those methods had become a part of a myth, not to mention the actual existence of those methods in the world. It never occurred to the Dragon King that it would be able to see the ancient star chart methodology right there with its own eyes. The Dragon King's soul could see the energy around the young man was transforming into many stars. It was as if the young man was sitting in the universe while cultivating amongst the stars. The absorption speed and the energy consumption was much faster than any other usual cultivation method. He is practically robbing the energy. The Dragon King's soul thought. The young man's background appeared to be more and more mysterious and threatening. Time moved on. Absorbed in cultivation, Su Ping was unable to feel the passage of time. He could tell that more and more energy was gathering within him. Naturally and gradually, His rank increased from the intermediate position to the upper position of the 6th rank. He didn't stop. He was still progressing. When Su Ping was about to reach the 7th rank, he began to receive a sudden surge of information in his mind. That was a vast amount of information. Distraught by this, Su Ping stopped cultivating. He tried to check carefully. To his relief, nothing had gone wrong with his cultivation. The information was coming to him from the pet contract. Boom! Su Ping's mind was suddenly shocked into a blank, and then he saw countless memory fragments passing by. The next moment, he felt something was happening to his body. He looked down and found that his body had turned into a dragon, and what he saw was no longer the world of the dragon soul, but another vast and desolate land. There were mountains and flourishing, towering trees everywhere. The gentle breeze gave him a pleasant feeling. Su Ping was surprised. Why was he becoming a dragon? Because of his experience in the various cultivation sites, Su Ping was not scared by this unbelievable occurrence. He was curious. At the same time, he was trying to work out some theory of his own. Previously, the Dragon King's soul told him to summon all of his battle pets and clear up his mind. But, since the legacy was being received by the Dark Dragon Hound, it couldn't clear up its mind and consciousness on its own accord. The Dark Dragon Hound couldn't put Su Ping into any other space. In the Dark Dragon Hound's mind, Su Ping's place was fixed as an anchor. It seemed that the legacy was also being passed on to Su Ping from this anchor point, and he was able to be a part of it. Is this what my dog is experiencing? Su Ping wondered. Then, Su Ping felt, out of his control, how he breathed fire and unleashed many skills that were mastered by dragons. It was as if Su Ping was unleashing the skills in person. He could have a very clear understanding of the process. Su Ping focused his mind. This was a precious chance to learn. He couldn't get the legacy. However, if he could pick up some dragon skills at this time, it would also be helpful to his growth. Su Ping calmed himself down and focused his mind. He tried to comprehend the miraculous feelings he sensed as the skills were unleashed. In the mysterious realm, in front of the Dragon Bone Tower, many people were standing there, gazing at the tower. In front of everyone was an old man, Yuan Tianchen. Several titled battle pet warriors were standing next to him. Venerable the Blade was here, as well as Wu Guanxing, who had been forced to teach Su Lingyu healing skills. Lin Ziqing and Han Yuxiong were there, too. It has been 3 days since she passed the 9th dragon bone. She should be receiving the legacy. Otherwise, she would have come out already. The titled battle pet warriors watched with anticipation as well as tension. Chapter 416, Federal Astral Academy. No one is coming from the outside. Lin Ziqing grinned. I think that guy named Su Ping has yet to realize what has been going on here. He must believe that passing the test on the Dragon Bone Tower could guarantee his chance of receiving the legacy. I wonder what look we'll see on his face when he comes and finds out that Lady Yuan has taken away the legacy. Ha, ha, we will surely enjoy that look, I tell you that. The others joined in the laugh. It felt good to set someone up. They were aware that Su Ping was being supported by some legendary battle pet warrior as well, someone more powerful than Yuan Tianchen, an entity they couldn't afford to provoke. But things had changed. Once Yuan Tianchen's granddaughter obtained the legacy, she would be qualified to be admitted to the Federal Astral Academy. Once she graduated, she would grow to be a powerful legendary battle pet warrior. She would even have a chance to go beyond the legendary rank. With such a potential, she was worthy of their investment and trust. Hearing the sarcastic laughter, Venerable the Blade and Wu Guanxing looked at each other and both darted a troubled look at Lin Ziqing. If he knew what had happened in the Pixie Pet store 3 days prior, what would the look on his face be like? Would he still be able to laugh? Receiving the legacy would mean that Yuan Tianchen's granddaughter would enter a path headed to a promising future, but even with that great potential, she still needed time to grow. Truth be told, at the current stage, Venerable the Blade and Wu Guanxing believed more in Su Ping. A short-tempered guy that they could never anger. Of course, at the same time, they couldn't offend Yuan Tianchen either. Therefore, Venerable the Blade and Wu Guanxing merely listened quietly without saying anything, nor showing any stance. They could choose one party to side with, but once they chose the wrong one, they would have to suffer grave consequences. Right at that moment, a golden seal layer rippled in front of the Dragon Bone Tower. The ones who were laughing stopped right then. Everyone held their breaths nervously as they stared at the opening of the Dragon Bone Tower. A slim girl came out. She was wearing a light blue armor. The petite girl was none other than Yuan Linglu. Lady Yuan. She's here. The guards were excited. Venerable the Blade observed the situation, as well as the other titled battle pet warriors. They instantly noticed that Yuan Linglu's energy had grown. There was something strange as well. It was as if there were a vicious beast hiding inside her. She had received the legacy, hadn't she? Although this had been anticipated for quite a while, people were still amazed when it had become a fact. She was a rare talent who could grow up to be one who could rule the entire subcontinent district. Lulu. Yuan Tianchen was pleased to see his granddaughter. So, how was it? I see that your rank hasn't been increased by a large margin. Is it because the legacy is sealed within you? It was usual that legacies from powerful creatures would be too formidable at the beginning. The legacy and the power would be sealed within the inheritor. That was a common occurrence. His words pulled Yuan Linglu from the temporary daze she had experienced after the teleportation. She bit her lips as she looked at the happiness in Yuan Tianchen's eyes. She felt sorry and guilty. Such a complicated feeling. What? Yuan Tianchen realized that something must have gone wrong from the look on his granddaughter's face. She shouldn't have been like this. What happened? Yuan Tianchen set up a barrier to isolate others before he asked her. Since their voices had been blocked from prying ears, Yuan Linglu could no longer remain calm. She burst into tears. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't get the legacy. I have failed. Someone robbed me of my chance. Boom. Upon hearing this shocking piece of news, Yuan Tianchen felt his brain go blank. Failed? Robbed? How could this happen? He calculated the time so accurately. He had opened up the remaining 2 seals in the dragon scale lands the moment she climbed over the 9th dragon bone. She was right around the corner to receive the legacy. How could she have failed? How could she lose the chance? Who did it? Experienced as Yuan Tianchen was, it took him a few seconds to come back to his senses. He couldn't help but blurt out the questions, and as he did so, he was emitting a killing intent. He already knew the answer, but he was confused, angry. The guy that you told me about, Grandpa. He was already there when I reached the 9th dragon bone. Yuan Linglu bit her lips in sorrow. Yuan Tianchen squinted. Su Ping was already inside? So, that would mean that my plan in the mysterious realm had been leaked to Su Ping, right? Besides, Su Ping managed to sneak in without anyone knowing. That is to say, someone on the inside is a mole. Boom! A stream of formidable killing intent was burst out. Yuan Tianchen was foaming at the mouth. Even Yuan Linglu was a bit scared by her grandpa. Realizing that he had misunderstood her, she hurried to explain. Soon, she had explained all the details of the entire process, including how she got the mark and what that could do. Yuan Tianchen stood on the spot, dumbstruck. Then, a surge of grievance filled him. He clenched his fists in indignation. He hadn't become a victim of that guy's plotting, but of the Dragon King's soul in the mysterious realm. Su Ping could teleport to this place directly? He could sense the situation in the Dragon Scale lands? That was to say, Su Ping had been in the know of everything he had been doing recently, and Su Ping was waiting for him to open up the rest of the seals. He had been toiling and moiling for that punk. What the hell? Veins were popping out on Yuan Tianchen's face. It had been years since he had felt this enraged. But recently, he had been angered several times. First, he had tried to fight that punk, only to end up almost losing his life. It had taken him so much effort to set up that punk. At the end of the day, this had been another wild goose chase. As a matter of fact, he had helped that punk. So, you're telling me that the legitimate legacy was snatched by that punk and you only have a small part of it, right? Yuan Tianchen asked again. Yuan Linglu felt too ashamed to look at him. She kept her head low and nodded. Yuan Tianchen filed his teeth. A long moment later, he took a deep breath and got control of his emotions, which had been about to go wild. Soon, the Federal Astral Academy will come and evaluate candidates. You must get ready. Since you no longer have the legacy, I will think of other ways to increase your potential. Either way, you have to get into the Federal Astral Academy. You wouldn't enjoy a bright future on the blue planet. Yuan Linglu, crying, looked up at him. She had failed, but her grandpa had not given up on her. This made her feel all the more pained and guilty. She would rather have her grandpa scold her or punish her. That would make her feel better. Grandpa, will I make it? Yuan Linglu couldn't help but ask. She had lost completely to Su Ping in the 2 tests. Also, while they had been planning about the legacy for quite a long time, she still failed. The double setback had crushed her confidence. Her disheartened words enraged Yuan Tianchen. He pulled a long face and glared at her. This is not a question of whether you can do it or not. You must. Must. Do you know how your parents passed away? Because of the injustice on the blue planet. You must go and leave the blue planet. Yuan Linglu was stunned by the anger in his eyes. She instantly calmed down. She realized that all the disappointment, pain, and guilt that she had been feeling were ridiculous and laughable. Those emotions would add more shame to her. She took a deep breath. Once again, determination came back to her. I understand, Grandpa. I will. Yuan Tianchen gazed at her. Wipe away the tears of the weak. Tears won't do you any good. They will only make you look ugly. Yuan Linglu wiped away her tears. Good. Yuan Linglu had calmed down. Yuan Tianchen removed the barrier. Venerable the Blade and the others could see both of them again. Venerable the Blade and Wu Guansheng looked at each other. Both were baffled. That was strange. Did something go wrong? Lin Ziqing, who had been showing his loyalty to Yuan Tianchen, felt nervous. Without Yuan Linglu, the potential genius, Lin Ziqing would rather side with Su Ping. If something had gone wrong in the process, he had been showing support to the wrong party. The process has come to an end. The mysterious realm is now closed. Everyone go back, Yuan Tianchen announced calmly. Everyone was frozen on the spot. Should this be a cheerful occasion? And yet, since Yuan Tianchen had said so, they had to do as required. Yuan Tianchen's composed look amazed many people. No wonder he was a legendary battle pet warrior. To be able to remain calm at such a grand occasion had made him a model for everyone else. But Venerable the Blade had noticed something was off. Still, since Yuan Tianchen didn't speak of it, he couldn't ask for the reason. He had to bury his confusion deep in his heart. Let's go. Yuan Tianchen took Yuan Linglu's hand and teleported away. He was aware that Su Ping was still receiving the legacy in the mysterious realm, but he didn't plan on waiting for him there. After all, he couldn't tell what Su Ping would receive. He wouldn't want to go for wool and go home shorn. Yuan Tianchen had always been scared of the girl with the golden hair in Su Ping's store. He claimed that he would go back for Su Ping, but he only said those words to retain some dignity. Besides, back then, he had thought his granddaughter would surely receive the legacy. With the legacy, when Yuan Linglu joined the Federal Astral Academy, she would stand among the best. She would be valued. As long as she was valued in the academy, she could establish many powerful connections even before she graduated. By then, to get back at Su Ping would be a piece of cake. However, as of that moment, they would have to tread carefully. As Yuan Tianchen left, the others gradually followed suit. Everyone had a load on their minds. In the Dragon Soul's world, as time moved on, the golden cocoon shrank. At the moment, the diameter of the cocoon was merely about 10 meters with a width of 7 to 8 meters. This energy is from the Dragon King. I think even my physical strength has been enhanced. Su Ping was cultivating, sitting next to the cocoon. He had reached the peak of the 6th rank and could make the breakthrough to the 7th rank at any time. Besides, Su Ping had noticed that his physical strength had been increased but not by a large margin, since he already had the solar bulwark inside him. If other battle pet warriors could cultivate there, their physical strengths would have increased greatly. Su Ping didn't try to slow down the process. He had built up a solid enough foundation and his astral powers had been refined by the Heavens test. He could even make it all the way to the titled rank and the Heavens test would still help him stabilize his foundation. He looked at the cocoon. He had not felt anything unique other than the dragon-like body change at the beginning. From that experience, Su Ping had picked up several dragon skills and even learned a little bit about the rule of fire. He could generate a small fireball on his hand. While Su Ping was going to continue his cultivation, he heard a cracking sound on the cocoon. Su Ping looked up. A beam of golden light jumped into his sight. After the beam of golden light disappeared, Su Ping saw the dark dragon hound, the golden dragon hound. Su Ping was surprised. Chapter 417, 9 Seals. The dark dragon hound appeared to be quite different from before. It was still a hound. But it looked less like a hound. Its dark fur had become golden and its body was twice its original size. The dark dragon hound was lying on all fours on the ground and it was 7 to 8 meters tall. But if the dark dragon hound stood up, its height would be at about 15 meters. Many thick golden scales covered up the dark dragon hound's limbs. Its paws were so sharp that they could break boulders. On the back, it had several sharp spikes that were like many swords. The dark dragon hound had 2 huge horns on its head, strange and stunning at the same time. The little skeleton, the inferno dragon and the purple python went to see the dark dragon hound, looking up and down their friend that they found both strange and familiar. Su Ping tried to sense the dark dragon hound's rank at once. Still, the 6th rank. First, Su Ping heaved a sigh in relief. Next, he was baffled. Where was the legacy? How come there was no increase in rank? The dark dragon hound opened its eyes. Its dark eyes had turned golden as well. The glow in its eyes was elegant and strangely cold at the same time. That should have been an eye color of cold-blooded animals. Su Ping walked around the dark dragon hound twice, but failed to notice anything out of the ordinary. That was it? While Su Ping was wondering, a puff of golden light appeared and took the shape of the Dragon King. The figure was much thinner than before and appeared to be almost intangible. I have given thy battle pet my legacy. Thou shalt take care of thy battle pet. Thou shalt not violate thy promise. The Dragon King's voice was feeble. In case thy battle pet strength is too much for thee to handle, I have isolated the legacy into different groups. The legacy related to my strength is temporarily sealed inside thy battle pet. There are 9 seals and a part of the strength will be freed every time a seal is undone. When all of the 9 seals are released, the battle pet will have my full strength. It will be at the peak of the legendary rank. As for reaching the star rank, it will be up to thy battle pet's own efforts. I will teach thee the method to undo the 9 seals. Thou can undo the seals accordingly. The strength of each seal is different. After the first seal is undone, thy battle pet will reach the 8th rank. Undoing the 2nd seal will bring thy battle pet to the peak of the titled rank. Undoing the 3rd seal can help it reach the legendary rank. The Dragon King's soul let out a sudden growl. In the meantime, a streak of golden light was cast over Su Ping. Su Ping felt some information was being infused into his mind. It was the method to undo the seals as well as what the Dark Dragon Hound could achieve as each layer of seal was removed. Su Ping had gotten the answer as to why the Dark Dragon Hound's rank was still the same. The seals were in place to lock in the energy. In a sense, the Dragon King's soul was quite considerate. Touched, Su Ping said, "You may rest in peace. I will keep my promise." The Dragon King's soul took a deep breath. "I'm not done yet. My energy was sealed up, but the other part of my legacy, the dragon bloodline and the skills, all of them have been stamped inside your battle pet. Its bloodline is no longer that of the Dark Dragon Hound. Thy battle pet has received my bloodline, that of the heaven expansion dragon. Although the bloodline is not pure, it will help thy battle pet cultivate to the legendary rank without any hindrance. Besides, having received my skills, thy battle pets will become much more powerful than the battle pets of the same rank. I hope you can cherish it. The Dragon King's soul was speaking for the sake of the Dark Dragon Hound. It was as if the Dragon King's soul was afraid that Su Ping would no longer value the Dark Dragon Hound when it was gone. That, of course, was not going to happen. The Dragon King's soul was worrying about nothing. Do not worry. The Dark Dragon Hound will always be my battle pet and friend. Su Ping said. He stressed the last word, and for the first time, he was talking to the Dragon King's soul in a serious tone. The Dragon King's soul gazed at Su Ping and nodded. For the first time, the Dragon King's soul was relieved. The Dragon King's soul had at one point regretted over choosing this human being, but there was nothing it could do. The Dragon King's soul would have to stick with its choice. The good thing was that, while the young man appeared to be indifferent to the others' lives, he did care about his battle pets. This is my soul, and your consciousness will be its host for the time being. If you are lucky enough to find the world of dragons, you can take out my soul's coffin and bury it, the Dragon King's soul said. A certain hue appeared from behind, which was the mysterious coffin that was shrinking down. By the time the coffin reached Su Ping, it had shrunk to the size of a finger. Su Ping gave his consent. The coffin merged into Su Ping's forehead and re-emerged in his consciousness. Su Ping placed it in a corner of his consciousness. He planned to go back to the store and browse through the list of cultivation sites and see if he could find the world that the Dragon King's soul had mentioned. If he could, he would be able to grant the Dragon King's wish right away. You can leave. I want to spend the rest of my time alone in quietness. After Su Ping received the coffin, the Dragon King's soul relaxed. The soul thinned down. Su Ping suddenly felt sad. He gave the Dragon King's soul one last look. A creature that had once been above the legendary rank eventually ended its life in solitude and loneliness. You are my inheritor, in some sense. So long, our next meeting will only be postponed indefinitely. The Dragon King's soul stared at Su Ping. From its eyes, Su Ping saw a trace of a smile, relief, and liberation. The Dragon King's soul faded away. The golden world gradually turned brighter and brighter. The thing that could blind a person was darkness, as well as light. The glaring light had stopped Su Ping from being able to see anything. When he opened his eyes again, green vegetation fell into his sight. A gentle breeze was blowing on his face. This was outside the mysterious realm. Su Ping was surprised. Su Ping turned around. There should have been an entrance to the mysterious realm on the mountain behind him, but there was nothing there. Remembering the Dragon King's last words, Su Ping fell into a moody groove. A moment of silence later, he remembered something all of a sudden. He slapped his thigh. FCK, I forgot about the treasures. His heart was breaking. In the next second, he noticed something appeared in his hand. It was a small, golden silk bag. Surprised, Su Ping opened the bag and noticed that the bag, like his scroll, was bigger on the inside than the outside. The inside of the bag was a world all its own. In the bag, he saw all of the treasures that the Dragon King's soul had given him. Su Ping heaved a sigh in relief. Good. The treasures were still there. Su Ping turned around and gave one last look to where the entrance to the mysterious realm had once been. He sent an order to the Dark Dragon Hound and told it to get down and bow. He bowed as well. Su Ping left the mysterious realm. From then on, there would no longer be a Dragon King in the world. A creature that had once been above the legendary rank was gone. Su Ping would try his best to fulfill its last wish. Su Ping went down the hill. He picked up the residue energy. He reckoned that many people had gathered there before. Su Ping squinted his eyes. He was right. The mysterious realm had been heavily guarded. However, the old man at the legendary rank had failed to anticipate that Su Ping could teleport to the mysterious realm directly. The old man was so scheming, but his ignorance was the thing that defeated him in the end. They were here a moment ago. That girl must have come out before me. Su Ping shook his head. Although she was his competitor to get the legacy, Su Ping believed that the girl had a quite nice talent. He might run into her again someday in the future. Doggy, time to go home. Su Ping looked at the dark dragon hound, no, the golden dragon hound, which was following him. He jumped onto the golden dragon hound, took the little skeleton, the purple python and the inferno dragon back and patted the hound's head. Go! Show me what you can do. Woof! The golden dragon hound was still as joyful as it always was. It barked happily and started to run. Chapter 418, Above Average. Su Ping was curious about the skills the Dragon King's soul mentioned that were a part of its legacy. As he sat on the back of the golden dragon hound, Su Ping cast an identification skill on the pet. Heaven Expansion Dragon Hound. Property, Pet of the Dragon Family. Rank, Upper position of the 6th rank. Combat Strength, 14.2. Aptitude, Above Average Abilities Mastered, Dragon Growl, Legendary Skill, Shadow Slaughter, Legendary Skill, Dragon Soul Elegy, Legendary Skill, Dragon Shape, Legendary Skill, Dragon Shield, Legendary. Su Ping was stunned. He read the information a few more times and made sure he was seeing the same thing. What? A combat strength of 14.2. Above average. Su Ping found it hard to believe. The Dark Dragon Hound's combat strength was formerly at 9.9, but upon receiving the legacy, its combat strength had markedly increased by 4.3, rising above the 10-point threshold. It was close to the little skeleton on combat strength. Besides, the Golden Dragon Hound's aptitude was at the moment rated as above average. Something he had been earnestly longing for. Not even the little skeleton had reached the above average rating. He didn't anticipate that the Dark Dragon Hound would be the first to get this rating. While the Dark Dragon Hound was at the 6th rank, it already had strength equal to the legendary rank. It was beyond logic and reason. How awesome this was! No one would believe this. If he had not been there to witness it with his own eyes, Su Ping would have never bought it. The Battle Pet warriors who had just reached the legendary rank wouldn't even be worthy opponents for the Golden Dragon Hound. Those Battle Pet warriors would find that ridiculous. They, who had worked so hard to reach the legendary rank, would be helpless before a pet at the 6th rank. That was unfair. Su Ping browsed through the pet's newly added skills. The 12 of them were legendary rank skills, which was why the Dark Dragon Hound was rated as above average. The scores of those legendary skills varied. The one with the highest score was a skill named Sky Swallower, which had a score of 65. 3 other skills had a score above 50. Those are all good skills. No wonder the Dark Dragon Hound's combat strength has increased so dramatically, Su Ping said to himself. But he had other questions. The Dragon King was a creature above the legendary rank. There should be more powerful skills available. Could it be that some skills were temporarily sealed and the pet had yet to assimilate them? The more Su Ping thought about it, the more convinced he was of this explanation. After all, those high-level skills couldn't be comprehended immediately. Even if the Golden Dragon Hound could comprehend them, it would be incapable of using them. They would be of no use for a while. This had to be the reason. Either way, Su Ping was more than glad to see the great change in his pet. Also, the fact that the Dark Dragon Hound had an aptitude of above average had solved a major problem for him. Finally, training advanced battle pets could be made available in the store. That was to say, he could make money 10 times faster than before. All in all, this was a rewarding trip that even legendary battle pet warriors would be jealous of. Glad with this outcome, Su Ping patted the Golden Dragon Hound's horns. Since your bloodline has changed to that of the Heaven Expansion Dragon and you're not categorized as a battle pet of the dragon family, I have to come up with another name for you. How about Doggy? The Golden Dragon Hound growled to show its dissatisfaction. Su Ping received that feedback. He thought about it and understood that he should be more open to suggestions. You have the bloodline of a dragon, but you're not quite a dragon yet. I can add another word in your name in light of that fact. You will be Doggy Jr. Woof, woof, woof. The golden dragon hound barked out some sharp words but then quieted down after a share of Su Ping's fists. The golden dragon hound ran along the highway. Soon, Su Ping had returned to the explorer's base outside the Longjiang base city, and from there, he went back to the base city. He was stopped by the guards at the border. Su Ping logged onto the official website of the explorers and used the user information to show his identity. The guards were stunned still to see that he was a gold medal explorer because they had never seen one so young. Regardless of the fact that Su Ping was a gold medal explorer, the guards cautioned Su Ping that he couldn't ride on such a large battle pet in the base city. Since the golden dragon hound had grown to be over a dozen meters long, it was qualified to be counted as a large battle pet. Su Ping had to let the golden dragon hound use the dragon form skill so that it could fly. The dragon form skill was a legendary skill. By using the skill, the golden dragon hound's body shape changed. Its limbs shortened while its body lengthened. It changed into a dragon that was about 30 meters long, a heaven expansion dragon without wings. The golden dragon hound still looked different from a real heaven expansion dragon, but it was similar. While in dragon form, it could use many basic skills of the heaven expansion dragon, such as riding on a cloud. Whoosh! Doggy Jr. growled and flew up to the sky in an instant, disappearing amid the stares of the astonished guards. Su Ping looked down at the base city and exclaimed, "In some way, Doggy Jr., you are a flying ride that is already at the legendary rank." For him, the legendary rank creatures were something out of his reach. But at the moment, they were well within his reach. As a matter of fact, there was one under him. How things had changed. The golden dragon hound barked as a reply. It sounded like a perfunctory reply, as if still obsessing over the name. Soon enough, Su Ping had arrived at the shantytown area. He could see the Tahuaxi Street. Su Ping retrieved the golden dragon hound, which was too large to fit in the store. Having done that, Su Ping landed outside the store. When he was about to reach the ground, he mobilized some astral powers under his feet and a puff of air softened his landing. There were only a few people outside on the street. Su Ping was surprised. There had been many reporters out there before. He noticed that the blood stains on the ground had been cleaned up. The buildings that had collapsed during the previous battle had already been repaired. The materials of the building were specially made stones that were quite firm. It was clear that some advanced battle pets of the stone family were used for the rebuilding process. Su Ping gazed at the closed door. He could see into the store by using mental power. Tang Ruyan and Su Lingyu were sitting on the couch, having some snacks and chatting. The two seemed to be getting along. Su Ping walked up the stairs and opened the door. "Su Ping!" The two of them turned around. Right away, Su Lingyu happily ran to meet him. "Where have you been? You were gone for 5 days. I would have thought that something had happened to you if Yuan hadn't told me that you were out for some business." 5 days? How unexpected. Su Ping didn't quite feel the passage of time in that world. 5 days had passed in reality? That is so long. Is Mom worried? Su Ping asked in a hurry. Su Lingyu shook her head. "I told her that you were out on business." Su Ping breathed in relief and patted her head. "Nicely done." Tang Ruyan sized up Su Ping with a curious eye. She could feel that Su Ping seemed to be more powerful than before after only 5 days had passed. There was something unspeakable about him as well. If she had to find a word, she would say that he was noble, like a person of high standing. "Are the treasures from the Tang family here?" Su Ping asked Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan nodded. "Yes. They delivered the treasures here the second day after you left. They left the things here since you were away. They have found a place to live in the base city for now. The government helped them find accommodation. I can tell them to come here if you want." Su Ping nodded. "How about the Star organization?" "Same, they came the day after you left," Tang Ruyan said. She darted a look at Su Ping. In this world, no one but the legendary battle pet warriors would have the Star organization and the Tang family waiting respectfully by the door to deliver treasures. Although Su Ping wasn't at the legendary rank yet, he could compare with one. Su Ping nodded. The two parties were sensible. If he were forced to go to their doors and ask for the treasures, a fight would definitely ensue, and he would have to kill and bring about bloodshed again. Did anything happen to the big families of the city? Why isn't there anyone outside the store? Did something happen? Su Ping sat down on the couch and asked. The families came the day after you left as well. Their family heads came in person and left behind many gifts for you. Besides, the mayor also came to visit you. That battle created quite a disturbance. The entire Longjiang base city knows that there is someone powerful in your store. Many people speculated that there is some legendary battle pet warrior here, but no one can confirm that. The mayor left you a message. Would you want him to seal the information? The street now is a restricted area and no one can come here casually. The mayor has done that for fear that people might offend you. Tang Ruyan gave a detailed account of the events that had happened. Su Ping was speechless. If no one is allowed to come here, how could I conduct business? The mayor was doing more harm than good with his excessive measures. The thing between you and the Star organization is still a secret, but your battle against our Tang family has become known by some of the families. With a complicated feeling, Tang Ruyan said, that is, the other three ancient families that are like our Tang family. All of them have issued you an invitation, hoping that you could visit them and befriend you. Su Ping shook his head. No need. I just want to do my business quietly. Tang Ruyan curled her lips. Doing your business quietly? The forces you have upset are enough to turn the world upside down in the Longjiang base city. But inwardly, Tang Ruyan was relieved. She had been in low spirits because of what happened with the Tang family. After all, that was where she had been living for over 20 years, her family, her root in the world. That route was not ideal, but she would miss it every now and then. Deep in her heart, she still saw herself as a member of the Tang family. Therefore, if Su Ping were to befriend other families, the Tang family would be at a disadvantage. The other families would make use of Su Ping's leverage to cannibalize the Tang family. More so, those families would secretly sow discord between Su Ping and her family. For the Tang family, that would be quite dangerous. Right, one more thing. Tang Ruyan suddenly remembered something. She took out a letter. This is an invitation from the Trainers Association. The pet training service of your store has been widely promoted in the Longjiang intranet. The Trainer Association has noticed that. They hope that they can invite the trainer in your store to visit their headquarters and teach a lesson. They are meaning to invite your store's trainer to join the Trainers Association. Trainers Association? Su Ping took over the letter. The sealing wax was still on the envelope. The envelope was golden in color and looked quite elegant. The title was Trainers Association of the Subcontinent District. Su Ping opened the letter and browsed through the content. Tang Ruyan was basically accurate. The letter was an invitation for him to participate in a trainer's seminar. Chapter 419, Protecting the Reputation. Not interested. Su Ping crumpled the letter. A ball of flames appeared in his palm and the envelope was burned to dust. Both Tang Ruyan and Su Lingyu were surprised. How could Su Ping, a human being, release a fireball so casually? Humans weren't like the pets of the element family. The astral powers humans cultivated had no properties. It was almost impossible for humans to unleash a skill that had elements unless they used some secret skills. The fact that Su Ping could make a fireball freely without much preparation was unexpected. While Su Ping was crumbling the letter, he suddenly heard the system's voice. The system, ding! The host has received an invitation from the Trainers Association. Generating temporary mission. Temporary mission generated. Mission published, Trainer's reputation. Mission summary. As an owner of a pet store, how can the host not be an official trainer? The host shall obtain a trainer certification issued by the world the host lives in and build up a trainer reputation. The host will be deemed qualified when the reputation score reaches 100. Mission reward, a random low-level trainer skill book. Punishment for mission failed, minus 2 million energy points. 11, 9 foot, good luck. Su Ping was surprised. He triggered a mission? Anyways, what's with the sticker? When did the system learn to act cute? Su Ping dissed the system inwardly. He always had a feeling that the system was not serious. It was as if something was faking to be a system. But the mission's reward was quite nice. A random low-level skill book. The strength enhancement and the elementary rules of thunder he acquired were both low-level skill books. If he could get a speed enhancement, or other elementary rules, that would be nice. That would be a great aid to his combat strength. But the mission was described in a vague way. Reputation score of 100? What did it mean? System, can you specify? 05_. Please understand it yourself. Su Ping was speechless. The system said again, ding. The system has detected that the host has a battle pet with aptitude rated as above average. The training of advanced pets is now officially available in the store. The host is qualified and can receive advanced pets in the store. The prices for training of advanced battle pets: 1 million astral coins for general training. 100 million for professional training. Su Ping's eyes glowed and he was no longer in the mood to wonder why the system was using those emojis and stickers. 100 million astral coins for the professional training of advanced battle pets. That was 1 million energy points. He would make enough energy points to upgrade the store again after he trained 10 advanced battle pets. The energy points he made for training each advanced pet would allow him to use the chaotic pool for incubation once. If he could get a Beast King, then spending 1 million energy points would be more than worthwhile. Su Ping pulled up the system's shop. He looked at the number. He currently had over 6 million energy points. He had made a lot of energy points during the Elite League. However, fewer customers were visiting the store in that period. Also, there were limited spots in the store. If more customers chose general training, he would make less money. If more customers chose professional training, he would make more money. But all in all, whenever he opened for business and his store was packed, he could make 400,000 to 500,000 energy points per day. If all of the customers went there for the professional training, he would have made several million every day. But most of the customers chose the general training. After all, professional training was too expensive. Not everyone could afford that. As a boss under the close watch of the system, Su Ping was unable to choose customers. He had to accept everything until no more spots were available. I can upgrade the store again when I have another 4 million energy points. But I can try my luck at the chaotic pool for incubation, Su Ping said to himself. He was not in a big hurry at the moment. He could give it a try every now and then. He had spent 5 days in the mysterious realm. Su Ping believed he had too many things to take care of. First of all, he had to go through the treasures that the Tang family and the Star organization had given him. As for the government, he had to tell them not to block the street. What kind of business could he run if he had no customers? Go and get those people from your Tang family. Do you have the other people's contacts? Tell them that I'm back, Su Ping said to Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan nodded to him. Tang Ruyan left. Su Ping looked at Su Lingyu. Her once lopped-off hand had grown back to its regular size and looked quite nice. I still have Yang Bingyu in custody. Do whatever you want to do with her, Su Ping said. Su Lingyu shook her head after a moment of silence. Never mind. Let her go, I started it. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't beat her and wanted to have her disqualified by committing suicide, she wouldn't have been as pissed to do that to me. Su Ping looked at her. Are you sure? Su Lingyu nodded. Su Ping said nothing else, but he didn't promise her that he would let Yang Bingyu go directly. This is my fault as well. If I hadn't forced you to participate in the match, you wouldn't have ended up like that. What kind of compensation do you want? Su Ping asked. It's not because of you. At the end of the day, I'm too weak. Su Lingyu shook her head. I have been informed that I can participate in the continental competition in a week, but I want to give up. Without Frosty, which you gave me as a gift, I couldn't have even made it to the top 100 here. I want to keep on learning, training, and cultivating. Only when I am powerful enough can I attain real glory. She was serious. The Elite League had touched her deeply. No one knew what she was feeling when she was sitting in the staging area. She was the only one who knew. She was desperate to try and grow. Everyone sitting around her were true talents and more powerful than she was. Yes, she was younger than the others. But was age a proper excuse? Su Ping was her brother, merely 1 year older than her, and yet he could already kill battle pet warriors at the titled rank. Strength was not about age. That was something she had learned from Su Ping. She had to apply that rule to herself as well. Age shouldn't be her excuse. She had to become stronger, much stronger. Su Ping was not surprised to find that she would give up. He nodded, not trying to persuade her. As a matter of fact, he wasn't interested in her winning the global championship. After all, winning that championship would only get her instructions from a legendary battle pet warrior. He no longer deemed that important. Continuing to participate in the match would only be a waste of time. She would be in danger as well. After all, Su Lingyu had no chance to show her strength throughout the process. She had just been a puppet. Giving up the continental match is a good thing. But you don't have to work so hard. I'll take care of you and Mom from now on. I will always be here, Su Ping said. At first, he wanted Su Lingyu to be able to be independent. But the Elite League had changed him. He could protect his family. Why would he force his family to pay extra efforts? Their lives on Earth were limited. The most important thing was to be happy. What was the point of him carrying the burden if his family was unable to live a better life? Su Lingyu gazed at Su Ping solemnly. A while later, she shook her head. I still hope that I can become stronger. After all, I want to see the view from the peak as well. Su Ping was lost in a myriad of thoughts. Su Lingyu was always anxious to outdo others. He realized that he couldn't talk her out of it. The Elite League must have frustrated her. Have you decided? Su Ping gazed at her. That won't be an easy journey. Su Lingyu flashed a brilliant smile. What's the point of living if we don't go through hardships? Su Ping smiled. No wonder she was his sister. They did share some similarities in ways of thinking. Indeed. A life without setbacks and difficulties would be too boring. Okay, if you say so. There isn't much I can do to help, but you can always come to me for pet training. I will also find you some treasures for your protection, Su Ping said. Su Lingyu didn't turn him down. She nodded with a smile. Su Ping suddenly remembered the admission letter to the best academy in the subcontinent district. He dug it out from his storage space and handed it over to her. If strength is what you are seeking, then go to the academy. This is the most famous academy in the subcontinent district. The quality of their education should be better than that in the Phoenix Peak Academy. Su Lingyu was stunned by disbelief. Do you mean the Valiant Academy? Su Ping was surprised to find she had heard about it. It seemed that the academy truly had a widespread reputation. In this day and age when communication was often inaccessible, people in the Longjiang base city were actually able to hear news about that academy. It is true, Su Lingyu took the invitation. She stood aghast as she saw the words printed on the paper. That was the Dream Academy for all the attending students in the academies of the Longjiang base city. It was said that even the weakest students were advanced battle pet warriors in the Valiant Academy. In the hundreds of years of history of the Valiant Academy, hundreds of the students grew to be titled battle pet warriors and 2 had become legendary battle pet warriors. That was one of the best academies across all the continents. Those who graduated from the Valiant Academy could easily get a job with a high position or join some base city's government as officials and generals, which usually came with good pay. Where did you get that? Su Lingyu asked. Su Ping answered, just by chance. By chance? Su Lingyu felt her heart had skipped a beat. She was speechless. But it wasn't hard to understand that Su Ping would be able to get one because he could even force the titled battle pet warriors to surrender to him. That was the benefit of having great strength. What others would eagerly seek was extremely easy to obtain for the powerful. Su Lingyu was more determined to cultivate and develop. "I'll gladly take it," Su Lingyu said. Su Ping wouldn't need this invitation. She believed that no academy would be able to teach a freak like him. Chapter 420, All Together Now. Soon enough, all parties learned of Su Ping's return. The major families in the Longjiang base city were also alerted. All the major families had sent someone to stand guard on Taohuaxi Street. Every family hoped to be first in knowing when Su Ping returned and the first to be there so that they would leave a good impression on him. The moment Su Ping appeared, all the major families were informed at almost the exact same time. The Qin family. "He is back. Go. Tell Shu Hai and Xiaotian to come with me." Qin Juhuang, family head of the Qin family, stood up at once. He was no longer in the mood to chat with the friend that had visited him to enjoy some tea. This friend was at the upper position of the titled rank and he was from another base city. Naturally, he was surprised that Qin Juhuang would react like this after receiving a piece of information. "Hey man, what is going on?" "Nothing. A terrifying fellow is back and I have to go and visit him. Please wait for me here," Qin Juhuang said. "A terrifying fellow?" That friend of his was astonished. It was rare for Qin Juhuang to be scared of someone like this, unless that someone was a legendary battle pet warrior. Who was the person that Qin Juhuang would describe as terrifying? He wanted to ask a few more questions but Qin Juhuang had already left. "The Mu family. Hurry up and tell Brother 3 and his granddaughter Mu Shuangwan that Su Ping is back." The family head of the Mu family was startled after he learned of Su Ping's return. He gave those orders without wasting another second. Su Ping didn't have any issues with the Mu family. The only conflict between them was about Mu Shengwen having advertised for the store. Things went out of control back then and Mu Shuangwan had cancelled the contract. Su Ping was no longer the same as before. The elders of the 5 families were there when Su Ping overwhelmed the Tang family and forced the Star organization to back down. That indeed happened. The family head of the Mu family knew he had to treat Su Ping seriously since there was some mysterious legendary battle pet warrior with him. No one in the Mu family had dared to spread the fact that a legendary battle pet warrior was residing in the Longjiang base city. After all, in the off chance they disturbed that legendary battle pet warrior, the Mu family would be wiped out with a single move. At the same time, the Liu family, the Zhu family, and the Yi family also sprang into action. Their family heads prepared some presents and left for the street in the shantytown area without delay. The 5 families were going to gather at the Taohuaxi Street. Inside the store. Someone arrived at the store, moments after Tang Ruyan finished her conversation with Su Ping. They were from the Tang family. Tang Ruyan did a little bit selfish thing since she had informed those from the Tang family first so that they would be the first to get there, which would demonstrate their sincerity. The Tang family had sent over a family elder, as well as 2 titled battle pet warriors, 1 male, 1 female. The 3 of them were all quite famous. "You must be Mr. Su, right?" The Tang family elder saw Su Ping sitting on the couch. The elder had looked at Su Ping's picture before he arrived. As soon as he recognized Su Ping, the elder wore a big smile, walked up to him, and said politely, "My title is Ghost Chains, Mr. Su." While he made the self-introduction, the 2 titled battle pet warriors standing behind him were sizing Su Ping up and down as well. The information they received was correct. The man was young and not even at the 7th rank yet. This was a person who could overwhelm 3 elders of our Tang family? The Tang family had found a way to get videos of the Elite League competitions in the base city. They had seen the young man in the video. Both of the titled battle pet warriors were surprised that the young man, who was at the 6th rank, could be on par with titled battle pet warriors. The titled rank was 3 ranks higher than the 6th rank. This young man was not a common human being. Su Ping darted a glance at the old man titled Ghost Chains. "Have you brought the treasures to me?" "Ajos." The old man titled Ghost Chains smiled fawningly. "Yes. I suppose you mean the illustrated handbook of our treasures, right?" I have brought all the illustrated books of all the treasures in our family's collection. You can choose whichever one you want. We will deliver to you the ones you like immediately." With that said, he handed over a portable flash drive that could be connected to the phone. Su Ping took it over and plugged it into this phone. He saw an icon pop out and clicked it open. The information about many treasures was presented to him. There were pictures, explanations of the functions and categories. Su Ping didn't hurry to choose any of them. He browsed through the data first. There were over 200 pieces. In the old days, Su Ping would have been surprised by the amount, but since he currently had over 10,000 pieces of treasures, he was no longer interested. Also, judging by the amount, Su Ping believed the Tang family had not shown him everything. That was understandable, though. After all, the Tang family had a huge collection of artifacts and treasures. It was unlikely that they would show him all the treasures they had. Those treasures were their secret weapons and would be distributed to the Tang family disciples in the future. Information of those treasures was classified. Letting others know about the information and functions of all the treasures would diminish their effects. "Mr. Su, would you please let us meet Tang Mingqing and the other two for a little bit?" The old man titled Ghost Chains smiled obsequiously. Tang Mingqing and the other two were being held prisoners there. Ghost Chains knew this was not the time for him to act in a conceited way. He had learned from the information collected that there was a legendary battle pet warrior in Su Ping's store, which had made the Tang family all the more prudent. Su Ping cast a glance at him and then nodded to Tang Ruyan, who was standing next to him. Tang Ruyan said to the old man titled Ghost Chains, "Just a moment, please." She turned around and went to the test room. Su Ping had given his permission and the door had opened automatically. Tang Ruyan pushed the door open and invited the three elders to come out. The three elders were in a terrible state after having spent 5 days without water or food. Of course, they hadn't reached the point where they would starve to death. As soon as they came out, they saw Ghost Chains and the other two titled battle pet warriors from the Tang family. The three of them were seized with a surge of emotions. For the past 5 days, they had been on tenterhooks. They thought something must have gone wrong between their family and Su Ping. Being unable to receive any information for the past 5 days, the three elders remain awake all night with worry. Ghost Chains breathed in relief to see the three elders were still alive. The three of them were important to the Tang family. Losing the three would be a great damage to the Tang family. Second, considering the Tang family's actual future family head, each and every one of them was more important than Tang Ruyan. Su Ping paid no heed to their meeting and focused his mind on browsing the illustrated books. Soon, he had picked out 9 pieces that were quite nice. 4 of them were weapons and the other 5 had other special effects. Su Ping was unable to find any other piece to his satisfaction. "I heard that the family heirloom of your Tang family is impressive," Su Ping said. Ghost Chains as well as the 3 elders including Tang Mingqing became scared. "Mr. Su, that is our family heirloom and you have already said that you wouldn't ask for that," Ghost Chains said carefully. Su Ping knew that they wouldn't give him that and he wasn't asking for it, either. But since Ghost Chains had misunderstood him, Su Ping decided that he could follow his lead. "Since I won't ask for it, then let me know the specific functions of that family heirloom." "I don't think that is an outrageous request, is it?" Ghost Chains found no word to reply. Feeling awkward, he darted a look at Tang Mingqing and the other 2 elders. The 3 of them were having a hard time deciding as well. Su Ping could come up with ways to counter their family heirloom when he found out about the specific functions. The ocean umbrella could help them ambush and kill legendary battle pet warriors. But if the legendary battle pet warriors knew that beforehand and thought of ways to strike back, the ocean umbrella would be of no use in this regard. "Well, Mr. Su, the family heirloom's secrets are exclusive to our family head. We know very little about it," Ghost Chains answered. "Then tell me whatever it is you do know," Su Ping pushed him. Ghost Chains was a bit less worried. It seemed that Su Ping was aware that they weren't going to tell him everything and was fine with them telling whatever they could. That would make things easier for them. Soon, Ghost Chains told Su Ping all the information about the ocean umbrella that had become public knowledge or that it had been found out by other families. For example, the ocean umbrella could be used to kill legendary battle pet warriors or to manufacture illusions, etc. Those were not secrets anymore, they became the general basics about the ocean umbrella. Su Ping was surprised to learn that the Tang family would be able to get such a treasure. The Tang family had no legendary battle pet warriors, but they could assassinate them with the ocean umbrella. Su Ping didn't even get many items like this in the Dragon King's collection of treasures. As to the items that were like the ocean umbrella, he couldn't use them just yet due to his current rank. He could only use 2 treasures that the Dragon King had given him, the dragon horn and the armor. Good to know. Su Ping did not push them for more details. He would be satisfied to get some general information. He could ask them more, but they didn't necessarily want to answer. The ocean umbrella would be useless to them if they made every feature known. Su Ping picked out several more items and told Ghost Chains, "I want these. Bring them to me tomorrow." Ghost Chains felt his heart ache. The Tang family did hide some of the top-level treasures, but they did include many top-level treasures in the thumb drive to prevent Su Ping from getting suspicious, and he had picked all of them. All of those top-level treasures had been tainted with blood. The Tang family had acquired them either by robbing or searching mysterious realms. Su Ping's random selection had cost the Tang family a decade-long effort. A decade was not a short time for a family. The Tang family had a history of hundreds of years, but they did have to go through great ordeals to make it happen. Any wrong decision could have cost the Tang family, or it would get them excluded from the circle of the most influential families. What happened this day, without a doubt, was a heavy blow to the Tangs. However, they couldn't argue with Su Ping. If they offended him again and angered that potential legendary battle pet warrior, that could mean the end of the Tang family. The ocean umbrella could kill legendary battle pet warriors, but that wasn't to say that the Tang family was confident enough to challenge legendary battle pet warriors. The ocean umbrella was an item that could protect them, a trump card. "Can you bring them over tomorrow?" Su Ping asked. Ghost Chains came back to his senses. "Of course. Mr. Su, don't worry." He smiled fawningly. Su Ping nodded. He wasn't all that interested in the treasures. But he wanted them to show their disposition. He wasn't one to be provoked easily. The ones that did anger him would have to pay the corresponding price. While they had just finished talking, someone else arrived. It was Xie Ganj, the King of Arms, from the Star Organization. He was surprised to see Ghost Chains. It never occurred to him that the Tang family would send over another old guy at the peak of the titled rank. Xie Ganj and Ghost Chains exchanged some eye contact as a way to greet each other. Xie Ganj approached Su Ping, said hello, and took out a small thumb drive. Just like the Tang family, Xie Ganj had stored all the information in the thumb drive. Su Ping went back to picking treasures. While he did so, more and more people showed up. The Qin family, the Liu family, the Mu family. In an instant, the representatives of the 5 major families were gathered at the Pixie Pet store. This time, the family heads had made a personal visit. 5 automobiles that were exclusive to the 5 major families were parked on the street. It was a good thing that there weren't any regular pedestrians on the street. Otherwise, they would have been utterly astounded. The 5 family heads turned a bit pale when they saw the Tang family elders as well as Xie Ganj in the store. The family heads came in, said hi to Su Ping, and then stepped to the sides, waiting quietly. Those that came with the 5 family heads were the promising young talents of each family, including Qin Shaotian, Mu Shuangwan, Yi Hao, Zhu Chuan, and Liu Jianxin. A considerable number of titled battle pet warriors were standing in the store while Su Ping was the only one sitting on the couch. At this sight, the young, including Qin Shaotian, were filled with complex emotions.